Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht, and with me, as always, is my good friend, John Taylor. Hi, John. How are you?
Fine, Josh. I'm fine.
There it is. I thought, ladies and gentlemen, maybe if we gave this a day or two or three or four, maybe the sting would go away. Wisconsin sports not hot right now. Very meh.
Yeah. Not a lot to feel good about.
So let's start with the Milwaukee Bucks, who lost to the Pacers. No surprise, right? We kind of knew that once Dame went down, that was going to be it. But then it stung more how they won that game, right? Because the Bucks just really blew it. Like they just blew it. It was embarrassing and it sucked. And then to know that now those same Pacers are up 2 games to zip on Cleveland, which we were talking about like we're just like the powerhouse. Like there was no way. You didn't know how. And so like it's just even more sting knowing that it's the Pacers that are having this run.
Yeah. Do you subscribe?
And
Do you just subscribe to this idea that you want to lose to the team that is going to go, or how do you feel about that?
that's a very, very good question. I have in the past of it, it is a coping mechanism of, well, we lost to the champions. Can't be mad about that, right? They won the whole thing. We lost to the team that won the whole thing.
Yep.
It doesn't apply if I hate that team.
That's how I feel about this exact one. Yep.
And so, like, for example, in 2008, when the Brewers made it to the postseason for the first time in a long time, and then they lost to the Phillies, I was like, man, I am super bummed. And then the Phillies went on to win the whole thing. And I was like, well, I mean, at least we lost to the team, that won the whole thing. That is not how I feel about this current situation with the Bucks and the Pacers.
Yeah.
I want the Pacers to all burn.
Yeah. It's going to be really tough, seeing as how the Cavs are very injured at the moment as well. So they're getting blessed with some pretty great injury luck at the moment. So
yeah,
not ideal. Not ideal.
So, well, the thing is that, and I know that all of this is out of my control, right? Like I was gonna say, there's no point in worrying about this because I can't do anything about it. I can't do anything about any of this. That's right. That's the part of being a fan, is that you can just feel the way that you want to feel, but you can't do anything about it.
Right.
Let's talk about the Bucks, specifically Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay.
Yeah.
So Giannis put he was obviously asked about next year and everything after the game, and he was like, I'm not talking about that now. And then he put something on his Instagram that said, like, it was just like a photo of him, and it said like, win it for Cream City, right? It was like a warm-up shirt that he had worn.
Mm-hmm.
And he posted that, and people were like, he's staying. And then like the Bucks shared it. Now, I might need some help here from you, John, but it was never about Giannis choosing to leave, right?
Well,
Giannis is under contract. Like, he could be one of those bitchy guys and say, like, I want out, trade me. But, like, he's under contract. He can't, like, go to another team. If Giannis doesn't have a Bucks uniform on next year, it's because the Bucks chose to trade Giannis, right?
No, sadly, not really. I mean, this is the way the NBA works. If guys are going to cause problems, and if the writing is on the wall, I mean, the Bucks have all but basically said that they have no interest in trading him unless Giannis would want to pursue it. I mean, the rubber is meeting the road in the idea that, like, I don't know if you can retool this roster enough to make it feel like it's worthwhile for Giannis to stay in Milwaukee. I mean, it's the players league. Like if Giannis requests a trade, the Bucks will grant it. Because if he doesn't want to be here, it means the likelihood of us competing goes way down. If he's unhappy, if he is vocal about not wanting to be here, then you start thinking about what are the types of players, the wink, wink, nod, nod. Hey, opt in so we can pay you later. Bobby Portis deals, hoping for a similar situation with Gary Trent Jr. this year. Like, there's a lot of options that it's actually pretty solely just Giannis's decision. The Bucks are not going to trade Giannis, period. There is not a trade that would be beneficial enough for that to make sense. So, I mean, yes, he's under contract, but so what? I mean, we see guys force their way out of NBA teams all the time.
I thought that the Bucks don't have a draft pick, a first round draft pick for like 72 years.
2031 is their tradable first round asset.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing. And so I thought that that was part of it, was that it was the only piece that you really have to trade if you're trying to not send the team back into a complete and utter rebuild, like for a decade, is that you have to trade Giannis to get some capital. Am I wrong on that? If I'm the Bucks front office, what? So you think that the Bucks front office is just gonna be like, no, we'd never trade Giannis. We're gonna keep him for however many more years. What 2?
The Bucks will keep Giannis Antetokounmpo until he retires, no matter what that competing looks like, for a million different reasons. Selfishly and specifically, it's the international audience that he garners. There's about a million things positive about having Giannis on this bench. They can absolutely retool and try. I mean, as terrible as it is that Dame got hurt, I mean, if you can convince Giannis to stick around for a punt year, you can shed a lot of bad contracts. Or frankly, at one point we need to have a conversation, probably not today, about guys we just don't think belong on this roster anymore, because there's some guys who could opt in.
But Giannis.
I mean, pretty much,
kidding.
It's one of those things that was reported that if the Bucks didn't get out of the first round with a healthy Dame, there would have been conversations about maybe moving on from him, because clearly it's not working out as well. Obviously, that makes it becomes significantly harder now that he has an Achilles tear, and because he's going to be out all next year. And so now if you want to shed that contract, you actually have to probably attach that first round pick for somebody to just willingly eat that contract. So that becomes increasingly more challenging. There's conversations about what does that medical exemption look like? I don't know. I looked it up. I brought it up last pod. It's June 26th. If he can't compete at all, then we get access to like a mid-level exception. So you could shed some salaries, maybe bring in a prove it deal guy, but no, to your point, there's no real debate. No, the Bucks are not going to trade Giannis unless he wants to be traded, because Giannis, you have a puncher's chance every year. I mean, what they need to do is model the Warriors, which is hopefully Giannis is like Steph and is just okay with being bad for a year or two, and so we can get off some contracts, because it's not even necessarily about the draft pick. It's about, we have a lot of money tied into a lot of old athletic players that Giannis can't make up for anymore. Guys like, guys like Brook. I love Brook, but Brook can't be a Buck next year, period.
I don't think anyone besides Giannis who won a championship in 21 the Bucks can afford to have on this team.
I disagree with you there, but I understand your point. I understand the idea that no one's untouchable, but if you can get Gary Trent Jr. back in on his bird rights, that's a really nice contract that isn't going to screw up your cap to maybe do some other moves and stuff like that. So
no, but he would win. No, I'm talking about Pat, Bobby, Brook.
Okay.
Those were the only guys that are still on the team, right?
I didn't realize you were just wanting to talk about the ring exclusively when you say no. When you say no one is safe, I'm assuming you mean everyone. And I would disagree with that.
Well, I said like people that were on this team in 21.
Got it. Yeah, they're all old and bad.
They're all old. They're
all old and bad now. The few guys that are left are old and bad. I guess Bobby's not bad, but he's just actually Bobby becomes a lot more appealing as a 4 if you can keep, or at the 5, if you can keep like Jericho because he's like a really athletic big. The thing is, the Bucks will not compete for the Larry O'Brien next year. But can they be competitive enough that Giannis will be around long enough for Dame to come back to either see something or, hey, Dame's healthy and now teams will trade for a 35-year-old Damian Lillard.
Okay.
We could get something back when he
Let's use a crystal ball here, John. Does Damian Lillard ever play for the Bucks ever again?
I think so, yes. But
wow, I don't think so.
Well, they're not. I just don't. It would be malpractice to shed that first round pick to get rid of Damian Lillard when you could maybe package that first in Kyle Kuzma or some more tradable assets to try to bring in a guy who could help maybe Giannis win. Because I think Giannis said in his press conference that he was feeling very good about his development. He said he always felt like his final development as a player was going to be going back to that like point forward distributing. So if you can get some athletic guys who can run around him, who actually can shoot the ball, not Kyle Kuzma, then maybe you could see what goes on, shakes loose that way. And then do I think Damian Lillard plays again? Probably. Do I think he'll stay around for the entire season if he comes back and it's not working? Absolutely not. Because somebody will convince themselves that Damian Lillard could fix a basketball team. He's still very good. I mean, the big thing is just going to be if he can, at 35 post Achilles, still drive to the basket. Because you see a lot of older point guards, guys that make a living shooting threes and driving to the paint. If they can't get into the paint drawing contact, their efficiency drops off the face of a cliff. So using my crystal ball, I would say I definitely think he plays games with the Bucks again. If you ask me, do I think he'll be a Buck at the end of the 2026 season? That's where it gets iffy. It really, really does. Because they're going to have an entire year where they're going to figure out how to play without him. And to be honest, the way they played, I wanted Dame to work so bad. And I said, they're two of the best guys. But at this point, what are we going to do next year? What Giannis is good enough to make any basketball team good enough to be the 6th seed. Well, guess what? They were the 6th seed this year with him and Dame. And I know there was a lot of boneheaded decisions, but the real malpractice of this offseason so far and the malpractice of this podcast is talking about the fact that somehow Doc Rivers is still the head coach of this basketball team.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm not surprised at all.
Right. I mean, you can't. They've got 3 coaches under contract right now,
and just because the fans want him, like that's not how getting rid of a coach works. The teams don't get rid of coaches just because the fan base is done with the coach. That's not how it works. No, look, a lot of people were surprised by the fact that they even brought him in. I would love to not see Doc Rivers as the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks next season. I would be very surprised if he is not.
Right. The fact that they unceremoniously extended John Horst also, I feel like it would have been one or the other, and they chose Horst, which means I was like, oh, Doc will go, but I don't know. I mean, the coach, who knows? They might not feel rushed. There's some available coaches, and I guess we really can't have this conversation, or there's no point until Doc is actually relieved of his duties. I'm hoping they just make some stupid position and they promote him, a la, I don't know. I guess the last few
consultants to the
director of some sort of personnel. I mean, unlike Greg, Pop, and then obviously even Brad Stevens promoted himself up in the Celtics. Those were legitimate basketball operations roles. Like those have very meaningful impacts to a basketball organization. And I don't want Doc making any more decisions where we can help it.
Yeah.
I like Doc. I think Doc was what they needed when clearly the entire team was frustrated by Adrian Griffin. But it is malpractice, and I keep using this word because that's how I feel about it. The fact that we didn't get a lineup change until game 6, until it was do or die, is just disgusting behavior. But back to my original point, I don't know if I'm hoping the Bucks still fire him because I just don't think it's great. And I say that maybe there's more time because there's been a lot of teams that you would have expected to be in the coaches hunt are just promoting from within. Like several positions have been filled by assistant coaches. So the mad scramble or dash to the coaching candidates aren't as severe. So as of right now, the Bucks aren't in a search for a coach because they got one. So yeah, it's really disappointing. I don't know. I'm trying to muster up some energy and be excited about it, but I mean, I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough out here right now.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Well, okay. Here's the last thing I'll say with the Bucks and my thoughts with Giannis specific. I want Giannis to be in a Bucks uniform for as long as possible. I don't care if we don't make the postseason. If we don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I would rather have Giannis be a Buck at this point than win games.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. I mean, first, he's my favorite athlete in the history of all sports. And so he will be the first that if he does go somewhere else, I will follow him. And for that reason alone, I don't want him to leave.
Yeah.
Stay here.
Yeah.
Stay here, even if it's on a crappy team.
Yeah.
He was different. He's always been different. He chose to stay. I'm not ready for that goodbye. And right after the season, so many Bucks fans. Oh, John, it was killing me, the amount of Bucks fans and Bucks accounts that were sharing memories of Giannis as if he was already gone. I literally tweeted, I was like, can we stop? Can we just at least wait until he's actually gone? Can we not do this Bucks Giannis funeral before he's gone, please?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how it's going to end up, but I would love for him to retire Buck. I want him to be here as long as possible.
Same. Because the truth is, even an old, aging Giannis, which he's definitely not there yet, he's still incredible. And honestly, I think if he learns how to play a little more like Joker next year as a Buck, he could get back in legitimate MVP buzz. Because I think there's some voter fatigue on his style of play. I think if he evolves, it becomes undeniable. Like you said, if Giannis Antetokounmpo is on this basketball team, they don't miss the playoffs. So you don't have to worry about that. It's the reason why the Bucks will never trade him. He alone with 4 UWM Panther alum shout out players will still make the playoffs or play in at the bare minimum, right? It's not like they would. He's too good of a basketball player, period. So that's why the Bucks won't trade him. It's because if he's invested, they can be competitive. And so we're just at that intersection, sadly, where we pushed in all the chips, and to push in the chips the way we did, you lose assets and you get older and slower to try to make it work. And so it's reached critical mass. So yeah, it's like really sad, obviously, but I don't want him to go. I'm not. Why would I ever like? It's like when people were talking about we got to get Aaron Rodgers out of here. It's like, well, he was a back-to-back MVP. He finally had a season that was bad, and I go, okay, well, if he doesn't want to be here, and you think Jordan loves the guy, then so be it. But Giannis is still putting up MVP numbers. You know, if Giannis was hurt all this year and we go, I don't know if Giannis could be the guy, and somehow we get it's just this. First of all, a situation completely different. There's no heir apparent to Giannis. We have nobody in the pipelines who will ever be anywhere close. And obviously, he's going to go down as one of the top 10 best players in the league all time. I would even say higher than that, but I don't feel like arguing that point right now, especially because he's still playing. But you're not going to find another Giannis, especially at pick 15 and later. So they need to suck for a while before they can even get another bite of that apple. And when you do, Andrew Bogut, Jabari Parker, there's no guarantee anyways. So you just can't let guys like this go just because it feels uncomfortable or you're sad that they didn't advance. It's unacceptable they didn't advance, but I'm not about to throw the baby out with the bathwater, especially when the baby looks like a 6'11"
stud
Greek god, right?
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
Anyways, so until things change, I'm not going to assume. And
good.
The national media has been pushing him out of Milwaukee
ever since he got here.
So any of those national reports, I think the latest one is like Howard Beck, that fucking dork.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Swear. I just mean he was like on what was it, Windhorse, being like, well, my impression is that if he would want to play with like a big market, and it's like
per source.
If you read the quote, it's like he even says before they clipped it, he was saying people around the league are saying, well, of course people around the league are saying those teams want big players. So it's just like you got to be thinking about where these sources are coming from and who and what's saying them. And honestly, Giannis's actions have always spoke louder than his words, and his words speak pretty loud. So there's no reason to think that he's going to force his way out. But
you never know.
You just don't know, because Damian Lillard was a Portland Trailblazer for 10 years. He was the Western Conference Giannis. And to your point about he was under contract, he signed that big extension. That's the contract we have him on. And they couldn't build a competitive team around him anymore. And he said, I got to go. And so then the organization goes, okay, we'll see what happens. But I just don't think we're there. So anyways.
I hope not. I hope that you are correct.
Yeah.
Turning our focus to a team that is still playing, the Milwaukee Brewers. They had a very rough weekend against the Scrubs from Chicago. And then I think at this point, they've split with Houston. They won yesterday, lost today.
They won the series against Houston.
Okay, they won against Houston. That's good. I've already seen people freaking out about this Brewers team, and I think it kind of it woke me up a little bit, kind of like when you're sleeping and then you hear a loud noise and you wake up to go, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just go back to bed. That was my reaction to the freaking out of Brewers fans. I heard them freak out about how the team's playing, the record, etc. And I went, wait, should I be worried? It's still too early, isn't it? And then I saw that it's May 7th, and I went, oh yeah, it's too early. And then I went back to bed. This team is not bottom of the barrel in the division, and it's May. April was before May. April was when baseball started. We have a whole freaking summer of baseball still. I am still at the point where I am just enjoying that there is baseball. I am not worried at all. I'm not saying that I'm having fun, but I'm not. There's nothing happening right now that has me going, yeah, they got to do something. They got to make a move. They got to do something. They got to figure out something. Like, I'm not there. Right. Are you?
I'm leaning. I'm not freaking out, but I'm definitely leaning concerned. And my first point for that will be it's less about what the Brewers are doing and it's more about what the Cubs are doing. Because as much as I hate the Cubs, they're a good baseball team. They retooled and they have money to spend and they brought in a lot of very good players. Their offense is playing out of their mind right now, by way of like Kyle Tucker. Getting him was great. So I'm not worried about what the Brewers are doing. I just am worried that 500 baseball, which is what feels like this club is right now, and not to say
it is what better. They are right now.
I know they are exactly 500, but I mean the type of ball they're playing is 500. The fact that they are going to they're only 3 games behind. I think when I was really feeling this way, they were 5 games behind. Luckily, the Giants took that series today as well. My point is there's a lot of things that the Brewers needed to address, and there was a lot of things we have grown accustomed to counting on that this Brewers roster currently doesn't have. And
Which
can they fix that? Well, first and foremost, they don't have an offensive bat on the left side of the infield. Joey Ortiz is slumping something terrible, like truly terrible, bottom of the league terrible.
Yep.
The Vinny Capra, Caleb Durbin, Oliver Dunn situation at third sucks. Yep. Caleb Durbin's not even playing that bad, but he can't be the best option on a team that's trying to compete for a NL Central pennant. That's what sucks.
Yeah.
Our bullpen, not great right now. We talk about, there's a few bright spots, but there's a lot of question marks. We sent down Elvin Rodriguez, brought up Craig Yoho. Craig Yoho was pitching out of his mind. I was on this pod being like, we got to see him. Well, we saw him. It did not go well. And I don't think that means he's a bad pitcher. It's just he's not ready right now. And that's a problem. So Elvin Rodriguez right back up. Gave up 4 runs today, 5 runs today. He's still not an answer. Our pitching, we were having a conversation before the offseason. Who's gonna be the odd man out of this amazing starting pitcher rotation? And I said, we always have injuries. Well, I'm begging for people to come back because Quentin Priester had a pretty decent couple starts. He's not it. He's not it right now. He needs more time.
He wasn't going to be it.
Right. He needs more time in the pitching lab. Ashby hurt, out of the picture. Luckily, Tobias Myers comes back. But, during this...
But when. That's my thing about pitchers. I'm so sick of seeing pitcher injuries. Just get rid of the IL, by the way. 10-day, 60-day. Fuck it. Just because that gives me hope. That sets a time of when I think the person's going to be back.
Yeah.
They are never back.
No,
at that time.
I'm not 100% familiar with the rules. My buddy Andrew will probably hear this and chime in. I think they need to be taken off the IL stint, and then they can get designated for rehab assignment.
Correct.
Which means that adds a whole bunch of other time. So Woodruff could be back as soon as next week.
But even when they're in rehab, man.
I know that.
Like, I'd take that.
Right.
Knowing that they're pitching again, even in the minors, makes me happy. Like, it's, they're still not there. They're still not ready. They're still not ready to come back. Like, that's what's frustrating. That's what's annoying about the whole thing. It's not, I don't know why it is that way with baseball either, because it's not that way with other sports. Like, you give me an estimated time that the players can be back. They're usually back within some time around the estimation. Not baseball, not with pitchers. It's no clue.
Yeah. So I don't know. You kind of derailed me on my point.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I was just so fired up about it.
Yeah.
But you're right. I did cut you off. I'm sorry.
But I don't know. I don't know. The starting pitching needs to get a lot better. I mean, Freddie's dealing. Quintana still is great. So it's like those two are absolutely delivering. But Tobias Myers got pulled after a few innings on his first or second start back. And Murph was just like, you got to have a plan. I don't know. It's really weird. Murph is pulling a lot of levers like he doesn't believe in this team. Sitting guys, pulling guys. And I understand that the margin of error for this Brewers team is so small. And I know Murph knows that. But to be pulling guys for making mistakes, it is sounding alarms whether we think as fans we should have or not. So while I don't want to freak out, it's not great that our skipper, our coach of the year skipper, is going, you guys better wake up and start executing, or I'm going to have to find other guys, because we don't have other guys. So I don't know.
Those are empty threats. And I think a lot of the players know that. Oh yeah. Who's waiting in the wings to take my spot?
Yeah.
In this ball club.
Yeah. So
I think that we still have to take a step back though and look at this team and go, okay, they're 500. They're 3 games back of the Cubs. That's a series. Yeah. It's still so small, and it's May. It's the beginning of May. So much baseball. Sure. So much baseball. Whole lot of baseball left. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Anything else Brewers wise you want to talk about before we move on to non-Wisconsin sports?
Well, I'm hoping Woodruff comes back. He's been doing rehab assignments. Murph has said it's up to him and how he's feeling, and if he comes back and feels good. So hopefully that gives us an answer. Adam McCalvey confirmed. He reported 4 days ago that Savali was supposed to start a rehab assignment at AAA today, and I tweeted him. I was like, "Yo, what's the update on this?" And he said he's going to pitch tomorrow. So hopefully there's some relief there, because our bullpen is not good enough to be coming in at the 5th inning every single game. Period.
No.
I'm pleased with Nick Mears. Trevor McGill's gotten rocked, but honestly, there has not been nearly enough save opportunities this season. We're losing by way too hilarious margins. So his work has been pretty inconsistent, and I'm not happy with it. But to your point, there just needs to be more data going forward. So not worried, but this is, we knew going in that this team needed to be damn near flawless, and they have more cracks than they did last year. And I think we were just expecting more guys to take a step forward. I will say Bryce Terang is still incredible. I mean, he continues to be delivering on the offensive side of the field, while other guys are slumping. Your Yelich's, your Contreras, your Reese's, and so he's been a shining bright spot.
True.
So fingers crossed he keeps playing like that, and everyone else follows suit. So, which is nice, because we were worried. Scratchy shoulder. He was supposed to be at shortstop. They had to move him back because of that. But I mean, Proof's in the pudding. The man
a little
is
bit of regress. Yeah.
the man is a platinum glove winner at second base. So play him there. He's incredible there. So
Agreed.
So we will see.
So in general, to wrap up the Wisconsin sports portion of the show, the Bucks are done. They suck. The Brewers are not doing well, but it's early. And so we're not going to say they suck yet. Or maybe just they suck now. But, like, hold on. It's early. All right. Now we're going to talk about some wrestling. It's the WWE portion of our show, which no one, for the record, has asked for. We just enjoy talking about wrestling.
We just like it. Damn it.
And so,
we're
going
to
to
talk fan or what to fan about.
That's right. You're goddamn right, John.
Yeah.
Well
it's the only
said.
thing that doesn't bring me pain in the sports and sports entertainment
Yes.
sphere.
Yes. We're hurting, damn it. Let us watch some wrestling.
Yep.
Backlash is coming up this Saturday. I would like to start by complaining.
First,
First,
that's so unlike you.
I know, right? Also, don't tell me how to fan. So I would like to start by saying, what's with these pay-per-views on Saturdays? I don't even know that I hate it, right? Because it's not like it's like a late night thing to where then I got to work the next day. But I just grew up and am so used to the pay-per-views being Sundays. And now this is a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And Saturdays are for the fam. And so now I got to
the wrestling fam.
Yeah. Now I got to try figuring other things out. But that's fine. That's fine. You know,
I think it's one of
do.
two reasons why they moved to Saturday. Sunday, we all know who runs Sunday sports.
Yes.
It's wrestling. Also, with the PLEs being on Peacock, it's way less expensive. And so they can kind of air them whenever. And they are, I think, truly trying to make sure that these events are the most accessible for the live markets where they're at. And a Saturday is always going to be easier for attendance because you can very easily just watch it on Peacock the next morning. It's available right away, you know. So
also, isn't this one in
St. Louis?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
yep.
St. Louis.
That's why we're getting the main event that we're getting.
Yes.
I love it.
I love it. Talk about that main event.
Yeah, I love it on Saturday simply for the fact that I'm 3 hours behind who they schedule it for. So these PLEs start at like 3 or 4 p.m. for me. It's great. I'm watching wrestling on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Sun's still out. The sun was
wild.
Still out when WrestleMania ended for me. I left the house and went, the sun's still out. That's awesome.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's talk about this main event before we get into the rest of the card. Okay. Randy Orton, John Cena. When Randy Orton came out and RKO'd John Cena for the first time, I loved it. And then about 4 seconds later, I was sad. The reason why is because I would love to see Randy Orton have the belt again. I think that Randy is, first of all, he's still in amazing shape. He's still completely able to do everything he needs to do as a performer. He 100% knows how to work a crowd. But putting him up against John Cena, I know he's going to lose. Mm-hmm. This is not how they're having the John Cena 17th. You know, they're building this whole thing that he's going to be the last real champion. They're not going to have him lose it to the first guy. And so I hate that Randy Orton is that first just random loss to John Cena on his championship run.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only counter I have to that is it's in St. Louis. So that's why he's doing it. That's why he's first out. It's just in St. Louis. So it's an easy. I mean, there's a fun build there. I don't disagree with you. I mean, the fact that, you know, Randy's not far behind. He's going for 15, 14. 15, I think it's 15. Like it's, you know, it's like, this is like a way more compelling match. And who knows, maybe this is building towards maybe a rematch later down the road. We both know how this is going to end. It's going to end with Cody getting the belt back from him in 8 months. I don't know.
Which I hate.
I mean, it'd be cool if it wasn't the case. The way Raw went, they're pushing guys in very obvious and different directions. So, yeah, it's an interesting exercise in how can they justify who's going to lose to John Cena next at the pay-per-views. But I mean, Randy Orton's a hell of a wrestler. I mean, their I Quit match is like as iconic as like the Stone Cold Bret Hart match, like Iron Man match. Like, so I don't know. I hope that we get way more of like a wrestling match out of these two that we got at WrestleMania. Less spectacle, more John Cena. I'm hoping Randy pulls more out of him in terms of like a justified reason for him to actually wrestle him harder.
We'll see if he can.
I know that's a huge. I mean, that's going to be the big thing. But you know, I love Randy Orton. I mean, I actually just got an RKO shirt in the mail. I'm fucking stoked on it. But yeah, you know, I especially so cool. Especially now that he's older. It seems like he's as serious as ever, but can appreciate it a little bit more. You know, you can always tell when guys are like on their back nine. So I just love any opportunity to see him on the mic, kind of causing havoc and stuff like that. So this idea that Randy Orton's going to be the one to remind John that wrestling is still going to exist. He's talking about bloodlines and he's disrespecting the Orton family name. It's cool. Like I said, hopefully they heat it back up later, just when there's a little more stakes involved. Yeah, he's not going to lose it at Backlash to Randy Orton immediately. There's just no way.
There's no way. I wish that the Randy Orton we had, and if this does happen down the road again, where there's another rematch between these two, the 09 Orton, the Orton that
the Legend Killer, he brought it up. Yeah.
That they were teasing was going to be back when he was going to face Kevin Owens. I mean, they completely swerved from that psychotic, crazy Randy Orton to just kind of a having fun dude. I want to see that Randy Orton come back. That would be cool.
Yeah.
What else we got, and what else should I be looking forward to at Backlash?
What else? We got Becky Lynch, heel Becky Lynch, wrestling
Becky Lynch,
Lyra Valkyria for the women's IC belt.
Your thoughts on heel Becky Lynch?
I love it. I think it's great. I mean, if we talk about Becky, she's always been, she's always been Lyra, the you count me out underdog story, and Becky has absolutely achieved a legendary first ballot Hall of Famer, or however they do their ballot Hall of Fame. She's going to be a no doubter. You know, she's one of the original 4 horsewomen of NXT and WWE, revolutionized women's wrestling forever. And I just think it's fun. It's a fun change of pace. She was talking, if she's going to come back at wrestling at 40, like, let's make it interesting. And I think getting Lyra over by completely turning on Lyra Valkyria and the fans, I think is awesome. I think she still is an incredible worker inside the ring. I think they've, in the ways where Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton maybe got a little too real in some uncomfortable ways, I think they highlighted and pointed out all of the real life stories and information on their promos. I think it's made Lyra way more likable and, I guess, grounded. She feels like a real person in this feud with Becky, which I could not stand Lyra Valkyria before this. And I still can't.
She's a nothing burger to me. But.
I don't know. That promo she cut on her, not this past Raw, but the Raw before, it was the first time she's on the mic actually speaking passionately about anything, because she has to defend something for once, and not just the title, but her name, her legacy, all of that. So, what did she have a line? She said, I'm not worried about, I know I'm already a better wrestler than you. I'm trying to prove I'm a better person or something. I don't know. Either way, it was a sick burn. It's working for me. And I think they both can flat out go. For how much I don't buy her character, Lyra is an incredible wrestler. There's a reason why they called her up and she, they strapped a rocket to her back. So I feel good about it. I'm excited about it.
Okay.
And I think the betrayal after winning the belt at Mania, losing them right away, and then flipping it the next night, I just think it was sick. I just a cool.
I loved that. So I love that. Here's my one thing I will say for heel Becky Lynch. They really need, if they're really trying to push heel Becky Lynch, they need to have her not only win this match, but have then a big face come out to face her. And then Becky has to then, at whatever point they fight, has to beat that face.
Yeah.
Like they need to have Becky beat someone bigger than Lyra. They have to, if this is going to stick. So,
yeah,
that's my thought there.
Yeah.
Okay. What else we got?
Fatal 4-way for the United States Championship.
Ooh.
Jacob Fatu's first title offense against
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre, against Damian Priest, against LA Knight.
I mean, I think that Fatu holds on to the belt.
Same.
But that has some fun. That could be a very fun match.
Yeah, I think that has probably some real deal implications to be best match of the night. I mean, if they really do the Drew versus Damian kind of really drawing out the Sin City street fight saga, I'm assuming they're both going to get in the way. LA Knight is going to try to win this, and then Fatu is just going to probably no sell a BFT because he's apparently that's his character, and then he's going to spear him and give him that moonsault. I don't think it would be. You don't get Fatu a belt this fast to have him lose it in one shot. He's just too good of a wrestler, and he's too much the future to play around like that. It would be a really cheap pop, and I don't think it's like necessary. So
agreed.
I think this just further pushes this idea of Drew and Damian hating each other on SmackDown for a while, and hopefully it lands them in some sort of title contention. It's tough, man. I think Fatu is great, but I just don't know how the problem with the belts being on the brands. It's just that Cena isn't going to lose this. So what people like Drew, people like Damian are just so screwed over because how are they just relegated to the US belt? On paper, yep. Drew and Damian Priest are clear both of these dudes. One of them, if you're saying the undisputed belt isn't up for grabs, then Drew McIntyre should be the US champ straight up. Like if we're keeping it 100, you talk about guys who've earned it and work, that's the case, but it's always supposed to be a mid-card title. Well, these guys are above mid-card. So, and I get that as props, but it's just like Drew McIntyre basically kept WWE afloat during the pandemic when he had the championship, right? And there's been this conceit from WWE's brass that he needs to get paid back for that. He also had like a feud of the year with CM Punk last year, and so I don't know. I just I'm like, dang, what are all these guys getting relegated to for an entire year because of Cena's farewell tour? And it makes for compelling television. And this is not the first time plenty of guys at the top of the roster are getting screwed over. So that's all not lost on me. But I think this will probably be the match of the night. I'm excited every time all of these guys wrestle. But that's just like my frustration is just like, man, how do we keep these guys in the mix? But
yeah.
But yeah. And then, our final match of the evening, we've got your former WWE heavyweight champion, Gunther, wrestling your color commentary, Pat McAfee, after he choked out Pat 2 weeks ago on Raw in defense of Michael Cole. So what do you think?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
It's first of all, I think that Pat did a great job on the mic. I think that he gets judged a little bit more because he didn't come up through wrestling, right? So kind of like the same as Logan Paul. Yeah. Everyone judges them more like you're not supposed to be in this world, and then they prove that they are. I thought every promo I've seen him cut has been a hell of a promo. I thought he's done a great job.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is he's not a manager, right? He's not trying to be the next Paul Heyman. He's going to be in the ring. I think that Gunther's a great opponent because Gunther doesn't require Pat to do a whole lot of acrobatic, crazy moves, right? It's going to be a lot of Gunther just slapping the crap out of Pat and Pat taking a beating, right? But that's easier to do for someone who's not professionally trained in wrestling. And so I think that it's going to be a slow drag, and then someone else will get involved. Maybe it'll be Michael Cole. It kind of reminds me of the time, I don't know if you remember way back in the day. I don't even remember. I think it was Taz was facing the King, Jerry the King Lawler, because Taz had put the Taz mission lock on JR. And then JR had interfered. He had like a glass bowl of jar of candy, and he smashed it over Taz's head, and JR won the match. I could see Michael Cole doing something to help Pat McAfee win this match.
Yeah.
Do you see in any way, shape, or form Pat McAfee losing this match?
Yes, I think he loses, and I think there's a good chance he loses very quickly.
Really?
I think there's like a really good chance that Pat. I think Gunther cooled off way harder than they wanted on that feud with Jay unintentionally, and I think this establishing him as just like a mean SOB again is exactly what they need to do, because that's what he was as the long, like, IC reigning title holder. You know what I mean? Like, he held it longer than anybody else. I don't think Pat loses. I'm wondering if it goes longer than 5 minutes. That's how much I think.
I'll bet you right now. I'll take that over.
Yeah. I just think there's a really good chance they use this as an opportunity to show off Pat's promo skills, because that was great promo work. I think if this match didn't have Pat cutting promos, I wouldn't care about him wrestling Gunther. And also, Pat did have like a pretty nice little run in NXT. So while he's not a full wrestler, he's put on some pretty impressive matches for, and he is an athlete, even if he's a punter. These are, so anyways, I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. If it goes longer than that and it creates some rippling stakes, I think that's awesome. I think that's very cool. I think we're also getting back into that territory where McAfee is going to have to get ready for college football sooner rather than later. I mean, maybe not. I guess it's only May. No, it's getting kind of close, so there is that built-in, like, do they draw this out a little bit? And then it's a reason why he gets sidelined. Because I don't think they're going to bounce him back to SmackDown like they did in the past, right? They had him on SmackDown. I think they like him on Raw for the global appeal, but we'll see. I do not know. So that's
the final question I had for you before we end the podcast in regards to Backlash. We have 4 matches on the card.
Yeah.
Do you see another card being added? Obviously, we're recording this on the Wednesday before. We still have Friday Night SmackDown. I see at least one match, but do you see 1, 2, any matches being added to the card?
Yeah, I do. I just don't know what. I think they'll announce something on SmackDown is my guess. But I don't know what it would be. I don't know if it'll be another title belt, because there's like another Saturday main event coming up soon. So I think it could be another squash match. I think if they did like a contenders for maybe if there was some sort of like, I don't want to see it again, but maybe Motor City Machine Guns versus like DIY to figure out the number 1 contender for Street Profits, because what's going on with that belt right now? I don't know if there's a match scheduled for SmackDown for that. So
yeah.
But I think it's clear that they're not going to have Tiffany go up against it again right away, right? Nia became, so.
Right.
So we'll see.
I agree. I think there'll be at least one more, but I do not think it'll be for a belt. I think it'll be a fluff. It'll be a fluff match. There'll be some quick thing that happens, and then the GM will come out and they'll say, Backlash this Saturday. You guys will...
Yep. That's
how it'll go now.
Yep. So,
all right. Well, there we have it. So, in summary, Bucks suck. Brewers maybe suck. Backlash, we'll see. There we go. Love it. All right. Anything else, John, you want to add before we end the pod?
Nope.
Perfect.
Jair, come back. We didn't get a cornerback, so just make it work.
Yeah, figure it out. Yeah. Figure it out, Jair. And the Bucks suck, so we need the Packers to do well. All right. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. We appreciate you guys so much. Please continue to support. It really does mean a lot to us. And make sure to tune in next time, because we are not done